if your friend is showing up in a way that is hurting you, it's not healthy for her either. So it goes back to a place of love. And if you can walk through the anger of maybe how you're being treated at the moment and recognize this feels horrible. And when I've left the last few times with this interaction with this person, I've felt very small. You're actually creating an invitation for your friend to step into a healthier place as well.
Welcome back to Happiness in Progress. I'm your host, Danielle Craig. I'm an Emmy Award winner, former journalist, mom, wife, and just a person looking for more joy in the everyday. This podcast is brought to you by the Mail Tribune. You can find more podcasts at mailtribune.com. And don't forget, this podcast is all about growing and wellness, finding perspective in your life so you can find more joy in the everyday. And I think one of the ways that we do that and we find more joy and we grow and we learn is to have a really strong group of friends surrounding us. You are going to be hearing from Sampson. She is the Southern Oregon Program Coordinator of Sparrow Clubs, and she's also a woman with an incredible tribe of women surrounding her. We're going to talk about in this conversation how to build that relationship, how to cultivate a friendship that is strong and that pours into you as you also give to that relationship as well. We're going to talk about having hard conversations with our friends, how to feel connected when we feel disconnected, and why it's so important for women to come together. That and a whole lot more, so let's get to it. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is because you're such a great example of someone who has just this incredible tribe of women around you, and you guys support each other and lift each other up. And a lot of people struggle with this, building a tribe of people, building friendships as adults. So how did your group of friends come to be?
Oh man, well, first I will say my lady friends are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They're very colorful. That's one thing I really love about my group of friends is they just cover so much ground. There's different belief systems, there's different experiences, there's different cultural backgrounds, and man, just talk about feeding into who you are as a human being and having perspective. So I really appreciate them as well. I'm very thankful. If I were to take all the individuals that kind of come to my mind of who is my tribe, I definitely would have to say, there's some that have been in my life since 2 to 3 years old.
Which is amazing.
Very amazing. That's a long journey. But there's pieces there that you've traveled through, and sometimes that happens because of, growing up together. But then through college, you get your set of friends, maybe work experience, and that's kind of what mine has been. I've got some childhood friends, definitely some friends that I've met through college, and you keep journeying with people, and it's just incredible. It's a blessing to have the lifelong, because I feel like people really know you and they've seen you journey through life and they've been there with you.
I can't even comprehend that because I moved every couple years. My longest friend is someone I knew in high school, which is a long time, but not 2 years old long.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like me? Like, I can't create that friendship. That friendship doesn't exist for me, except for, my siblings and my cousins. What would be your advice to someone like me?
Well, I wouldn't focus too much on that. Sometimes I think we can focus on things and be like, oh, it's a loss. Like, I'll never create that. It's a loss. It doesn't have to be that way. And, just as you were saying earlier, it's actually pretty rare to actually have that travel with you, because people do move, circumstances change, likes change. In high school, you can go completely different directions. You can even have seasons where maybe your friendship doesn't even look the same. I think one of the most important things, and I actually had this happen a couple years ago, you kind of have this idea of who your people are, but then I think you can almost be like, okay, I'm good. I've got my set of people.
Yeah.
I don't need to venture out anymore. And I think that's a dangerous place to put yourself in. I think keep your heart open, that you never know where another friendship could open up, and a life experience could cause you to be like, you know what, I really need this aspect in a new friendship, and I need to be fed. I need to grow over here. And not that these lovely friends over here aren't helping that, but maybe I need a new perspective. And so I think keeping your heart open of, you know what, who's going to come into my world right now, and where can we connect, and have your heart eyes open of like, wow, there's something about that individual.
I love that, and I love the heart eyes idea.
Yes.
Tell me about how important it is to you and how it's made an impact to have so many people of different beliefs and different backgrounds in your group of friends.
Definitely. Well, I grew up in an area where there is a lot of culture. Just people from every walks of life, and I appreciate that so much. My parents, actually, there's such different ends of the spectrum even of just belief systems and the way that you wake up and approach the world every day. And I always really appreciated that. I just feel like our world is so complex. People are complex, and we can get very tunnel vision and think, okay, this is the right way, and who's to say what the right way, you know? And I just think hearing from your friends and having really deep conversations about belief systems, about experiences, about overcoming loss and trauma and hurt and victories even, it puts a depth in who you are, and that's so valuable. It's one of the most valuable.
I love that. That is so cool. I think especially today in the 21st century where we have our online groups, and it's so easy to get stuck in our echo chamber of where we have our beliefs and we just hear them back. Yep, you're right, you're right, you're right. And I think that's really dangerous.
Yes. Yeah, if you're just chewing on the same thing all the time, and then some new idea comes in here and you've been so close-minded off with it, you can't even see the beauty of the aspect of I don't think it's safe to just dive into everything that you hear. I do think boundaries. I'm definitely a very strong believer that boundaries are a very good thing. And you have to know yourself and figure out, okay, what are my boundaries? Why do I have these boundaries? Be intentional about it. But also, I heard something really good recently of, do you look at other people and do you look at them as, you know what, they're doing the best they can? Or do you show up with a mindset of, they could do better? And I think having, they're doing the best they can with where they are right now. Maybe they haven't journeyed through something where, they're going to get to the other side of it and they're going to do better and they're going to learn better for themselves. But I just think that really helps us keep our minds open, and it keeps it open for those friendships of recognizing, okay, maybe this individual is still on a journey that, like, it might not might not fit real well, but she's on her way there. And man, what a beautiful friendship this could be. And I think she's doing the best she can right now. And she's going to figure out how to do even better for herself.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that once you have more compassion for other people, you start to have more compassion for yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important too.
If you can't love yourself well and forgive yourself well, how would you ever expect yourself to do it for other people and be really authentic about it?
If someone's listening and there's someone who is hearing about your friendships and just feeling like, oh, but I'm so disconnected, I do not feel connected, what would be your advice to them? How to start finding those connections?
I read a really good book when I was really, really young. I probably was about 4 years old, probably had someone read it to me. But it was talking about friendships, and it was talking about this young girl. Her family had just upped and moved to a new territory, and she was really starting to get really sad. She missed her old friends, and she would set up little things in the yard each day to try to gather in some friends and just see who would walk by. And nobody paid attention to her. And it wasn't because of any reason. We're all kind of shy. We all have our thing. We're always like, oh, it could be awkward to go over and talk to that person right now. They'll think I'm really weird. Well, she one night was crying in her room, and her mom came and consoled her and said, what's going on with you? And she said, I just can't make any friends. And, this girl skated by the other day. She didn't even look over at me and say hi or anything. And she said, well, did you say hi? And it really got her thinking of, oh my goodness, I've been expecting all of this from outside sources. And one of my favorite things and sayings has always been, be the party. If you're going to go to a party, show up and be what you want to expect at that party. Don't go anywhere in life and have this expectation of this is what I need to be feeling from this. And you're not showing up the way that you need to show up. Be who you want someone to be in a friendship. In any relationship, really. If you have a criteria of what you feel is very important and what you're really looking for, if you want authenticity, vulnerability, honesty, activities, create those, make that happen, reach out to a friend, draw them out of their comfort zones and out of their shy territory as well, and inspire them to step out and lead the way.
Yeah, you're not going to get that if you're not putting it out there. My son, you know, they have the buddy benches at schools now, which are so cute. My son sometimes will just go and sit and wait for someone to come play with him, and that hardly ends up with someone coming to sit and play with him. And so I gave him the exact same advice. Go be the person. Go. Someone else doesn't have someone to play with. Go be the person that will play with another kid.
Yes.
I love that. I
And
love
it's
that
brave.
book. Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage.
It's scary.
It's very scary. And you know what, though? The thing is, you're not going to lose anything you didn't have already. You'll either go and find out that that person is closed off and they're not ready for that, or maybe that friendship isn't going in the same direction. You know, people have different circumstances. Some people have young kids and other people are single, don't have kids yet, maybe don't want kids. You know, there's territorial things too that create really great friendships. But I think it's love to step out and be like, hey, I've recognized this person over here and I've kind of kept my eye on them and I feel like we speak the same language. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to throw it out there and let's see what beauty comes from it. Maybe nothing, but you know what? I was brave and I put it out there. And you can be proud of yourself at the end of the day for that.
I love that, because if nothing does come of it, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do something wrong.
Absolutely. And I think that's really poignant that you said that. Don't take things so personal. You know, I've also heard recently a quote, you know, if we can, the most that we can be unoffendable, the better. You're not looking for, oh, how am I going to get hurt in this? Or, you know, just life is a dance. Relationships are a dance, and just figure out how to dance. Maybe it's just a twirl with this person, or you know, like this one, you're doing the whole waltz with them. You know what I mean? It's just be brave and put love and kindness and compassion out there, and I just think you will get it back. When what you're putting out there, you will get back. You might just have to shuffle through and really feel it out. Don't put so much expectations on one person. And that's another thing, even about across the tribe. I don't have expectations that, okay, this one girlfriend of mine, I'm going to meet up with her and I'm going to dump everything on her and she's going to make me feel better about everything. It's not her job. She is there. Maybe I'm there even to listen to her that day. It's not one person's responsibility to completely fill your friendship cup.
Oh, I love that. That is so good. What do you think are some of the ways that people can cultivate a strong relationship?
Intention. I think it's so important to be intentional in relationships. Kind of going back to, what do you want? What would you want from a relationship? So pour into it yourself. I think honesty as well. I think one of the reasons that I've been so fortunate to have such lifelong friendships with girlfriends, all of my girlfriends have been really brave at different times of being like, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I learned through it. This was a mistake I made, but I'm on this journey of rediscovering and really being real with myself. Why did I make these mistakes or these choices? And you glean so much from people when people are brave enough to be honest. And going deep, if you want to have lifelong friendships, it's got to go past the surface. You're not going to be fulfilled if it doesn't go past the surface. You're always going to feel like, you know what, I'm just not really getting what I feel like I need out of my friendships. And if it's surface, you don't know anything about anybody. You know, you maybe know her favorite latte is this and she likes to eat here, but man, like, how does she feel about this situation that happened over here? You know, asking questions. And that's what I mean about being intentional of, really asking questions. One of my goals recently, I was inspired by one of my girlfriends. She does such an incredible job of reading her friends' love languages. And that takes work.
Yeah.
That is studying another human being, of figuring out, okay, how can I bless this girlfriend of mine? How can I bless this girlfriend? And you've got a lot of friends, that's a lot of work. But man, it feels so good to be the one that shows up and says, oh my gosh, I know exactly how to bless her right now. She shared with me a few weeks ago that she really loves it when people do this, this, and this. I get to do this today. And it's just such a satisfaction of walking away of being like, I just poured so much love into my friend.
Yeah.
And she feels valuable and honored today.
And that's so good for the friendship.
Yes.
Let's go back to going deep and talking about those hard things, because that's hard, especially if you have a whole bunch of friendships that are surface level. How do you, you go out, you get your favorite lattes, and then how do you say, this is what I'm really going through? Do you have advice for that? That's hard.
Yeah. Oh gosh. We've been in such a rhythm of that for so long that I have to kind of go back I think it can really take place when there's conflict. And there, regardless of who you are, if you are in relationship, you're gonna have some sort of conflict. And being honest about that conflict. And I think women are so have such an intuition. And you can feel when something's off. And I think the danger is when you're like, hey, Susie's kind of acting a little bit quiet. She seems like she's real short with me. You could choose in that moment to be like, oh, I'll just let it pass.
Yeah.
She'll be fine. We always bounce back from this. Or you can be like, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to reach out to my friend in a loving way and say, hey, I feel like we're off. Is everything okay? It doesn't even have to be a self hatred type of thing of like, oh, I probably did something wrong.
Right.
This is all my fault. But it's diving in and really understanding, hey, did I say something? Was a tone different? Are you going through something right now? Is there any way I can be there for you? I think those moments of feeling like something feels off or it's there's a conflict, dive into that. Don't run away from it, which is really scary and really hard because that takes complete honesty. That's opening yourself wide open. But on the other hand of it too, if a friend has been brave enough to ask you those hard questions and has opened up that table of like, let's have communication right now. I can handle your response. I'm asking for your response. I think the person receiving that should be really brave and take the opportunity to be like, hey, so you really did hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
When you said this or when you behaved this way, it really, it does something to me and it makes me feel less valued. And those are brave, brave moments. But if you don't have that, you're really going to be held back from growth in that relationship.
And I think having that conversation will just strengthen the relationship, right?
Absolutely. That's how you learn the love language. If you can be honest of, hey, when, something as simple as when we're hanging out, you kind of just dive in and like unload and talk all about yourself. And I feel like I don't get an opportunity to share. That is
And that's hard to say.
Yeah, it's a really hard to say. But it's just growth and maturity as well.
You've told me that it's hard work to have close friends.
Yes.
What is that there's ups and downs? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, relationships are hard work when you want them to be good. But the best things in life and the things that we work the hardest at are the best things to achieve. And it's such a sense of accomplishment when you can nourish a friendship and a marriage, a childhood relationship, a parent-daughter relationship. I really think it just boils down to communicating and being honest and having little expectation too. Enough expectation that you're checking in with each other and making sure your friend is not suffering in silence, but also give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going through a season sometimes too. And sometimes there's busy seasons. Everybody has their moments. They could have a brand new baby and be like, I am running on fumes. And I think during those moments, however you can love on your friend, even if it's maybe from afar, of like sending a text message here and there, just, hey, I'm thinking of you. I want you to know I love you. Again, it just always boils back to put the expectation on yourself. Like, I don't feel connected to my friends. I wonder what's going on with her. Well, have I reached out to her? No. So why am I expecting her to do this? Maybe she has her feelings hurt and is like, hey, Keena's not reached out to me in months. And that's hard because life is busy. And I think it's really easy in friendships to go down that rabbit trail of, man, I haven't heard from so-and-so. What's wrong? Maybe she doesn't like me anymore. Did I do something? And you can really get into a bad trail. And then the self-hate can come in and how you're talking to yourself. And then you're just spiraling at that point. And I think intention, it goes back to intention. If you catch yourself being like, okay, in my gut, I feel like we're not really connecting. I feel like I need to reach out, do those things. And if there's still a pushback and there's not the invitation, maybe it's worth diving into and sitting down with your friend and just listening and being, they may have been going through something that they've needed to get off their chest and they didn't want to burden you with it. But creating that invitation of, you know what, you get to be who you are in any season. And we're going to go through these seasons together. We're not who we were when we were in college.
Right.
We're not who we were when we had a brand new baby and we're like sleep deprived. So yeah, just journeying with your friends and being and allowing growth and change and discovery.
I love putting the expectation on yourself. I think that's so good. You talked about boundaries earlier, and I think there needs to be the boundaries in friendships. How do you do that, especially if there's a friend that you have that's continually hurting you? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it's been said that we teach people how to treat us and how to love us. And I am such a strong believer. My grandma actually used to say that to me quite often. She would say it in a relationship with, your husband, of women can be incredible teachers for men, and we can do it in such love. Same goes for our friendships. And, if your friend is showing up in a way that is hurting you, it's not healthy for her either. So it goes back to a place of love. And if you can walk through the anger of maybe how you're being treated at the moment and recognize this feels horrible. And when I've left the last few times with this interaction with this person, I've felt very small. I need to do something about this. Don't ignore those moments, because you know what? I really believe that our intuition and that little thing that says something doesn't feel right here and I'm being mistreated, you're actually creating an invitation for your friend to step into a healthier place as well. I think so often people are afraid to say truths to each other, and we're really good at surrounding ourselves with people that are kind of yes people too, and they're not going to call me out and I can behave how I want to. That's not always healthy. It's never healthy. The people that are brave enough to be like, hey, this was not okay. Like, I feel really small right now. Is there something going on with you? Or, I don't like being spoken to like that. I love you. You're a good friend of mine, and I don't deserve to be treated this way. And I actually think it can give that person the opportunity to look at themselves and be like, oh my gosh, I've always done this. It takes
and
maturity.
Countless friends.
Yes.
And it's going to be hard being that person receiving that information. Like, there's a little bit of pride and ego and anger you got to get through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's maturity. We all have to make a decision at one point in our life to be like, okay, it's time to be an adult. I cannot think of this in a juvenile way any longer. Not if I want value and worth out of this life. And I strongly believe, don't have conversations in the anger, in the heat of the anger. Go back and process and figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? Why is what she's doing, why does it hurt me? Is it something about me that I need to work on? Has she told me a truth? Was she honest with me and it hurt my feelings? And then when you can process that, go back and love. And love will lead the way. And you know what? If you speak a truth out of love with somebody and they can't receive it, and they can't change behavior, ultimately it opens up room for a person to come into your life that can. And so you'll have to go through that mourning loss of that, but life is too short to be dealing with negativity as well.
That's what I was going to ask you is when do you determine, this is not a relationship for me to keep putting my heart into and keep feeling like I'm feeling. It's not a relationship to keep fighting for.
Yeah, and you can try to talk yourself out of it, especially, you were saying, wow, having a friendship since you were 2 or 3.
Yeah.
At one point, that might not be a good thing anymore. And you might have to realize, like, wow, I don't want to let go of this friendship. I've known her since I was 2 or 3, but these are common themes that keep happening. It's so unhealthy. There's a point sometimes when you have to let go. And it really hurts, but it's just unhealthy back and forth if you don't do that. I would say some of the most important things to me is how does a person in my life treat other people? Not just how do they treat me. They might be trying to win me over for whatever reason, whether it's a romantic relationship or it's a friendship. I really pay attention to the way people treat other people. And if they are treating other people out of disrespect or gossip or talking, some woman's trying to get ahead and she's doing her best, she's pouring her life into her life and you're gossiping about her, I don't want to be a part of that. Yeah. My hope and dream is that the women in my life, we build women up. It's so important that we build women up. And if I feel like there's someone in my life that's unable to do that at that point in her life, it's a dangerous situation for me. I don't want to be a part of that. And I hope that individual will learn better and choose to show up in a different way. But you know what? That's all about that individual. When another woman is tearing another person down, it's all about her. And you got to work on that. And if you're not choosing to be mature and you're not choosing to be like, why do I react like this? I think it's a good thing to ask yourself questions. So you can be the person you want to be in a relationship. If inside your head, you're looking at another woman and all these negative thoughts are coming in, ask yourself, why is that happening? Even if it's a woman you don't know, you're looking through a magazine of a famous person, you have all these judgments going through your head. Why do you have these judgments? Why can't you look at it and just be like, wow, way to go. Yeah. Good for her. Like, maybe she's opening up this whole new arena for us women. Like, this is amazing. Keep going for it, girl.
I have goosebumps now. I think we were taught to think that way. I think we were taught to talk about that way about women. I think we see it in the media, we see it in the movies. Yes. I mean, then we went through high school and that was what was being modeled. Probably we were seeing that from adults in our lives. I think so much of that is taught, and I think it comes back to intention. I don't want to be the person who talks about other women like this.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier too, if you can think the best of that person, I mean, we don't know anybody's full story. We don't know why they're showing up the way that they are that day. But yeah, it's the boundary part of it is if you're not willing, for me, if you're not willing to work on the way that you're showing up and the hatred I hear coming out of your mouth, I cannot participate in that. My goal and the journey and the path I'm on is we're gonna grab women as we go and say, come on, charge on. Like we're gonna accomplish love in this life, and this isn't love. And I can't waste my time with that. I'm not gonna waste my energy on it. I wish the best for you, and when you wanna do better and you want better for yourself, let's go, girl.
Yeah. I think I have always, I don't want to say always, maybe the last 5 years I've stopped this train of thought, but thought women are catty to other women. Women don't help other women. That was just kind of what I was learning, and I had examples of it in my life. Tell me about that, what you've witnessed in that.
Yeah, women can be very dangerous. And the sad thing about it is that like I was saying, it's about who that person is inside. what hurts have they gone through as a child? What have they experienced? What was being said to them by their mother? You know, sometimes our own mothers can be fat shaming and just all this horrible stuff. But there's a choice that you have to make at one point in your life that I'm going to break this chain. I'm not going to keep on this path. It's not helping me. You don't feel good about yourself when you talk about other people. And, you know, most of the time when people are talking about other people, it's because they don't want to deal with what's right in front of them. It's easier to talk about what so-and-so did and, oh my gosh, did you hear that? But here I've got this whole issue that I've had for 5 years. I can't deal with it.
It's way easier to focus on other people's faults than your own.
Yes, and it's not brave. It's the coward way out. And I say that with such love. I don't want to ever shame anybody. We're all on our journeys, and we've all learned, and we've all done things that we look back and we're like, wow, I could have shown up so much better in that situation. But I say it in love, and I hope that women find something that inspires them to pull the best of life and to give the best to life. And doing all that crap, that's not the best. That's ugliness, and you don't feel good. You're not being the best of who you can be. And you're not staying on your path too. Like if you're on your path and you're like, this is my goal, I'm gonna make it over there, I'm gonna put everything into that. If you're stopping to gossip and point and have your judgments, you are taking a long time to get to your spot. And that spot needs you. So get there and do your work and be what you were created to be.
Tell me about what the opposite of that life of gossiping about women being catty to one another. What's the opposite of that?
Oh man. I think it's having deep conversations with the individual. If something's coming up, maybe you've noticed some behavior, or maybe they're even making some choices that you're like, oh gosh, this is destruction. Like this is a bad path. You sit down with that person and in love, you say, I do think it's important that you have relationship. I don't think it's anybody's job to be running out and stopping people. Hey, I noticed this about you. I don't even know you, but this is what you're doing wrong. You're not gonna win any friends that way. Nobody wants that person. But with your trusted relationships that you have been intentional with and you've poured love into it, if you see destructiveness coming in, isn't that the most loving thing that you could do? Is say, hey friend, you're getting distracted. Let's not worry about what she's doing. And even if it's somebody else that has hurt this person, I think the loving thing is to veer them back to, you know what? That's about that person. They're attacking you about something. They don't know you. They're not dealing with whatever's going on with them. Let's stay the course and let's keep it at a point of love.
Yeah. When women do come together, what happens?
Oh man. It's just amazing. It's joy and laughter and your heart. You can tangibly feel your heart just grow. You just feel supported. There's a lot going on in our society right now. There's a lot of growth and understanding and awareness, and we need to be the teachers, like my grandma said, my beautiful grandma. Let's teach. If we want men to show up in a certain way with us, we need to teach them how we show up with each other and how we support each other and learn from each other. And gosh, women are, there's so many beautiful aspects to women. There's so much talent, there's so much courage. It's just the stars are the limit of when women get together and encourage each other.
Yeah, I love that. I can't believe we're out of time.
I know.
I keep checking the watch. Is this real? Okay, the last question I want to ask you is the question I ask everyone. The number one tip you have to finding joy in the everyday, when it's good, when it's bad, and the in-between.
Gratitude. I think the most important thing you can do is wake up and have gratitude. I tell my children this every day, actually. You know what, guys? If you're feeling a little out of sorts or frustrated or whatever you might be feeling, pause and start naming off in your mind things you're thankful for. And it can be grandiose or it can be small little things. I'm thankful that I had a glass of clean water to drink this morning.
Yep, that's my go-to.
Yes, and if you start doing that, you can't find the end. You truly can't. You could sit there all day and you will not find the end. And I just think it puts your heart, it puts your breathing back into a state of calm. It puts perspective back in. And I actually think, that I was reading that they've done some research that if you spend 5 minutes in a state of gratitude, it actually physically rewires your brain to be more of an optimistic person. And I think you can catch yourself. If you operate from a state of gratitude and you get in this disciplined habit, you can catch yourself when you're gonna go down a rabbit trail or self-talk in a bad way and say, hey, no, there's gratitude for myself as well. Of my body's working hard for me. My mind is sharp. I'm eating healthy food. I'm breathing clean air. I'm pouring love. I mean, my goodness, if there's one thing to be thankful for, it's when you're pouring love back into this world. I mean, if you get everything wrong that day, thank yourself for pouring love into this world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Kina, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kina. My very favorite part of this conversation was talking about how to put the expectation on ourselves and to be the friend that we're hoping we will be able to find. What great advice. Such a good conversation with Kina. So I appreciate that. If you know someone who could benefit from these messages, go ahead and share this. Thanks for being here on Happiness and Progress.